analyzing, now assessing, now discussing, now sharing your thoughts on everything and every issue that affects you. ACNN is now streaming, discusses the issues trending and the matters that matter to us all. Join us every Monday to Friday at 10 a.m. on ACNN as we go in depth into every issue that impacts our lives, our communities, and our country.
Waking up in Nigeria every morning to a new drama has been the order of the day. From the killings of innocent women who were protesting at Uyeli to the hike in fuel pump prices and the annoying, extremely annoying and unfortunate happenings. Now my question is, when will all these end? This is now streaming show on ACNNTV and I am Promise Njoku Adibe. Good morning viewers, and thank you for joining us. I have with me in the studio the Venerable Dalimo Odige. He is the principal of the Anglican International Academy, Abuja, owned by the Anglican Communion, and also a priest in the Anglican Diocese of Abuja. Good morning, Mr. Odige, and thank you for coming to talk to us.
Thank you.
Okay, so because you're dressed as a priest, maybe I'll take away the Mr. and call Venerable.
I don't mind.
Okay, it's good. How is AIA today?
Wonderful, good.
Oh, thank God, thank
Very
God. Okay, I also have with me Mr. Uche Chimfunanya Ebie. He is a teacher at the Regent Secondary School, Abuja. Good morning, Mr. Uche, and good to have you talk to us today.
Good morning. The pleasure is mine.
And how is Regent School today?
The Regent School is doing great. Thank you.
Okay, that's good. We're going to be definitely talking about school, so it's good to we have somebody that is a teacher there and also a principal. Joining us virtually is Dr. Evangelist Ejieta Jero. He is a consultant educationist. He is a doctoral fellow of the Chartered Institute of Human Resource Management Nigeria and a chartered human resource consultant. He is also an education assistant director and the director of civic and political affairs, Diocese of Warri, Anglican Communion. I call him a man with many caps. Good morning, sir, and thank you for joining us virtually. How is Warri this morning? Can you hear me?
Good morning, distinguished colleagues in the studio. Warri is fine.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. You have so many caps to you. Kudos to you. Anglican Communion, we always have the best.
To God be the glory.
Okay, so we're going to be starting this discussion very shortly, and then viewers, I will always say don't forget to call in and lend in your voices to these discussions and disturbing questions, begging, seriously begging for answers. The number to call in as well as the platforms to send in your questions and comments are showing on your screen right now. So before I take the newspaper review, I want to beg you not to forget to share the link with your family, friends, and everyone around you. The discussion on the newspaper headlines begins now, and I'm going to start. We're going to take that very briefly because we have something very, very important to talk about. So I'm going to start with the Vanguard newspaper this morning, and I'll take it from above the masthead there. On page 9, we have claims of foreign military base in Nigeria false. Now, this is coming from the federal government, and like I said earlier, that story is on page 9 of the Vanguard newspaper. And on electricity, federal government slashes band 8 tariff by 8% to 206.8 per kilowatts. Okay, congratulations to band A. I hope you people have lights, 20 hours of lights. That story is on page 19 of the Vanguard newspaper. And the lead story there, you'll see it. Why pump price is high in our stations. This is coming from Hypeman. And two kickers there that I have. Price gap between major marketers and independents widens. The second kicker says major marketers in B2B transactions. Okay, so it's unfortunate that we're where we are. We find ourselves where we are, despite our God-given natural resources. But then we'll come over it. Okay, one more story there before I go to the next. 1.3 trillion debt cuts Genco's capacity to 35%. And you'll find that story on page 24 of the Vanguard newspaper. Next, we're going to be looking at the Punch newspaper. I also take it above the masthead there. France rules out citing military base in Nigeria. And page 7 of the Punch newspaper tells you more on that story. And I think that this will be a relief to Nigerians, because there have been so much outcry of, this country is trying to, cite their military base here in Nigeria. But I think this settles it. And the lead story there on the dollar speculation. Federal government to ban Naira from crypto trading platforms. That story is on page 21 of the Punch newspaper. And we have the picture story there. Woman shot, scores injured as police tear gas Delta protesters. Okay, very unfortunate. And the last story I'm going to be taking on the Punch newspaper is on page 2. Nigerians reject electricity tariff cuts, demand total reversal. Well, these are what we can take this morning because of our time. So I'm going to give our guests the opportunity to react to any story that has caught their fancy. And for you viewers out there, please don't forget to call in. The number to call in is on your screen. And for one reason or the other, if you can't call in, please send us a message. Or if you have a question, please send it in from any of our social media handles also showing on your screen. So let me start with my guest online. You've heard the newspaper headlines that I've taken this morning. Which particular caught your fancy? Are you there, sir?
Well, nothing catches my fancy in Nigerian news these days, to be frank and sincere. Because, in fact, look, is it the woman that is shot? Is it the tariff? It's just the grace of God that is seeing every Nigerian citizen through each day we wake up.
Well, thank God for His grace. May we not be caught in the crossfire. But it's just as unfortunate, is really, really biting us. But you are in Delta State, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I'm in Delta State.
How is it that such is happening in Uheli? We remember when it happened, it triggered the EndSARS. If I remember vividly, it started from there. What exactly is it about killing protesters? Don't Nigerians have a right to protest as enshrined in our constitution?
The truth is that the Nigerian system of governance is fashioned after the colonial masters, where we are treated as slaves and we are expected to do the bidding of the masters. Unfortunately, our policemen have displayed, not all, some of them have displayed the attitude of them because they are in uniform, nobody else matters. But again, we have also seen some policemen who are humane, who are, in fact, when you interact with them, you will love joining the police force. So I think it's an individual thing, and it boils down to the governance, and our attitude towards lives and properties. There's something I've been doing for the past 4 years without collecting a dime for this great country, Nigeria, training civil servants, and that was what earned me the doctoral fellow of the Chartered Institute of Human Resource, Nigeria. You see, we must know that as Nigerians, we are dear to ourselves, irrespective of religions, tribes, tongues, and what have you. So I think that the police force, especially those who are in the lower ranks, they need more orientation and reorientation, because in life, you must learn, relearn, and unlearn until you get to that level where you are willing to learn, relearn, and unlearn. We might not go anywhere. So for me, when it comes to national issues such as the police force and all that, I just prefer staying out of it, because it's most times we discuss this issue not on the basis of merit, but on the basis of emotional deviation. So for me, it's quite unfortunate. Yes, we have right to protest, but again, you also ask yourself, even when you have the right to protest, there are also procedures to go about your protest. And the question now is what led to the protest and why the protest, and probably maybe the shooting might not have been intentional, might be trying to scare protesters to create peace, but then it's quite unfortunate that a soul is gone, because you see, a soul is not a fowl, it's not a chicken. A soul is a human being created by God, and once that soul is gone, there is no reversal. It is in chemistry, it is an irreversible reaction. And so when such happens, it is very unfortunate. While we commiserate with the family of the bereaved, we ask that we must be cautious. We should not throw caution to the wind, so we must be cautious, and we should be cautioned of what we do and our actions. That's what I have to say. It's quite unfortunate. But I don't know if that protest was as a result of what happened in Okwagbe, which is
Oh, okay. Sorry, I think network has taken you off a bit. Well, you are asking for the reason of the protest. Information reaching us was that the protest was as a result of extortion by the policemen. That was what led to the protest. Okay, so let me come to my guests in the studio. I'll start with you, Venerable. We're looking at some of these trending topics, and he talked about the woman that was killed at Uyeli as a result of the protest, and like I said earlier, the protest was as a result of extortion by the policemen, and then these women came out, to protest, and unfortunately one of them was gunned down. So I want to know what's your own reaction in regards to what the newspaper headlines. Did anyone strike your fancy?
Okay, I want to say that number one, this issue of tariff and whatever, Nigerians are used to this issue of removal of subsidy, do this, do this. I think Nigerians also will be very comfortable if you tell them you remove the subsidy, what you are using them for. They've been waiting and waiting and waiting. You remove the subsidy, nobody sees where the subsidy is going into. Proper education. The people need to be educated. People are getting frustrated. There's an extent to which you can use force. If we properly prepare ourselves, properly inform ourselves, we will not be getting to these levels that we are getting into. You will see that the policemen are supposed to be law enforcement agents. And if they are properly educated, force should be used in the extreme. Not just that you see women and others and then you start throwing ground. In civilized societies, don't have this type of thing coming up. And with time, we'll begin to have people too that will be learning how to match force with force. They know very well that that's what you will do. They also prepare themselves and tell you when we get down there, when it gets to this level, we will respond appropriately. So I think that things should be done in their proper way. If people want to protest, let them take permission to protest. And if they are protesting, let it be properly guided. And if the policemen are coming in, let them know how to organize, how to coordinate, what to do and what not to do. And let people not take laws into their hands because of the fact that you are protesting, you decide to go violent. There are many issues to it. Let us learn in Nigeria how to have a common purpose. Because if Nigeria is dead, all of us will not be Nigerians again.
True.
We need Nigeria to be Nigerians. And as Nigerians also need us to be Nigeria. So, it is an issue of we must show solidarity to our nation, be patriotic to our nation, but our nation also should be able to care for our welfare.
Agreed. Thank you very much. That was very robust. And okay, so let me come to you, Mr. Uchina. Which of the topics caught your fancy briefly?
Okay, me as an educationist, I would like to go with the idea that they're already planning to reverse the UTME mass failure. So I'm eagerly and anxiously waiting to hear what the federal government have to say and what JAMB as a body and the Ministry of Education have to do or is planning to do to see that this mass failure does not repeat itself in the nearest future.
Okay, thank you very much. That actually, with that said, we'll be going on a very short break. When we come back, we'll be talking about education. But before then, take a look at this video.
Because in my jam center there were a lot of people saying, how do you use the mouse, how do you use the keyboard? Like in some of my friends even told me that in their centers, like one of the supervisors had to come out and demonstrate how to use a keyboard, how to use a mouse and stuff like that. So people did not even know how to use the software that they were supposed to use to carry out the jam first.
Everyone has a talent because some parents, you don't even know if that thing is right exam or not. They just live life as if they don't have any exams. Parents are fault in that. Some teachers, they know their students are still jam this year, but they didn't even make attempts to come out with it. Some students try their best to read, even if they weren't told some things, but they went in and they wrote what they did. So we need to inadequate preparation because there's only so much a teacher can do. Without students' efforts, without them putting in adequate efforts, they won't be able to achieve. Because if they just depend on their teachers are not the ones who are going to go to the exam already, and they are not the ones to be blamed because the teachers have tried their best, and students might have shown an attitude of triumph towards some of the efforts that the teachers have made, like attending classes. Some of them might keep classes, reading their books. In our school system, we've been given a time for everything, a time to learn, a time to reflect on what we've learned. And some might have failed to reflect on what they've learned because they learned.
Well, I feel also that lack of confidence also had a lot to do because at my jam center too, I saw a lot of people were very scared. I also noticed that a lot of people could not use the computers. There are situations whereby a lot of instructors had to come around and explain to them what they needed to do. So in that way, you also accounted for the math students. Okay, honestly, computer-based education isn't widely used in the country because in this school we used an application software called distinction program and other schools didn't use that. So probably that's the reason. There's no one in particular to blame. Everybody has faults in this. That's what
of the challenges. Now, from the student point of view, yes, there are arguments that some of them are on social media when they're supposed to be reading. I believe that may be true to an extent, but when you look at the process, those they were well prepared, they were also victim of the failure of the system, and also the budget to education, budgetary allocation for education is not enough, and that's why some of these students they were asked to go back because the systems were not available. And in some cases, some of these exams were rescheduled for another time. Do you know the psychological trauma some of these students will undergo? And whereas it's going to lead to also abysmal results. So it's multifaceted, it's not one-sided.
If you are not prepared for an exam, if you don't study hard, naturally you won't do well. And studying, reading in general is something that unfortunately we're losing. That would be the first reason that would come to mind. The second one would be technical issues that naturally would come up with the new style, the style we now have of writing. It's using ICT. I know that a number of students complain, for instance, that they started writing on the system and then all of a sudden it starts rebooting, this happens, then they move them to another system. And you know, even that could affect the psyche of the child. By the time you settle them in somewhere else, it's difficult for them to do. And then of course, if you think about the processes that they go through to even pick the subjects they're preparing for, maybe you would rather just do biochemistry, for instance, and then your parents say, no, you must study medicine, you must do that. So they end up having to deal with a combination of subjects they may not have the strengths for. These are some of the things that, you know, could happen with regard to these exams, and I think it has really contributed to what the results that we got with these exams. It's unfortunate, but that's what.
Welcome back. Well, the video you just watched is a vox pop, trying to know what, you know, people think about the mass failure in examination. Now, it has been said that the best gift you can give to anyone is education. Well, that was what we were told while growing up, and indeed, I can say it is true. But what exactly is happening in our educational system today? You know, a few days ago, JAMB raised an alarm that over 70% of the candidates scored below 200. Today we want to talk about the reason for this massive failure and possibly propose solutions on how to tackle it. So I'll start with the venerable here on my right. Now, looking at the huge failure in this year's JAMB, let's look at it. Who do you think, what exactly is responsible? What do you think is responsible for this massive failure? Before I start asking, who do you think is responsible, what do you think is responsible for this failure?
I want to say that there is a trend. It's a trend. Education is cumulative.
Okay.
Yes, you build upon what is done in the family, in the primary school, the secondary school we build on, the tertiary institutions we also build on before we have the product, you know, that we send to the various industries to go and help us provide the leadership, the resources, and the wealth of the nation. So there, if you look back to in our nation, you know, there was a time when we see people from our educational institutions, they had character, they had learning. But over time, these things were compromised. As far as I can understand in my short lifespan, I remembered in the 70s, you know, when we entered into this civilian administration, how primary school teachers were being owed for 18 months, 2 years. Nobody paid them salary. They were humiliated. They were brought down. Their personality was violated. A lot of compromise was made in the primary school level. Subsequently, you enter into the secondary school level, the same thing is happening now. And now we've gone into the universities. Strikes and everything, every time, salaries are not paid, IPPS or whatever you call it. And at the end of the day, what do we expect? And if you also look at it, the economy is not helping. The parents are struggling to see how much they can pay school fees, how much they can pay for these long vacation holiday programs, since children are mostly not in the school. How do they pay for students that have been 7 years, 10 years in a course that they are supposed to spend 4 years for? A lot of matters are amiss. A lot of issues are at stake. So you see, even the children themselves, they have to go and stay long time in their homes. What you have taught them before, they've forgotten. Education is supposed to be cumulative. So everybody is to be blamed, from the family, the society, the government, the politicians, especially the people that are supposed to be coordinating the nation. Everything is just being thrown to the wind. Everywhere is going to. So what we are seeing now are just signs of things that have been happening. You know, they are built up over time, and that's what we are beginning to see. It's not for us to be looking at JAMB and saying JAMB caused it. It was because of the paper. Well, let's look at the paper, whether it was easy or it was simple, it was standardized. The people that formulated our curriculum had a reason for formulating the curriculum. And you see that the reason for formulating the curriculum in our schools is not being achieved. Why? There are a lot of violations along the line, a lot of compromise along the line. Courses that are supposed to take three months are now taking 2 weeks, and then we are expecting something good out of them. The issues are just all over, everywhere. We need to take, a concrete effort in looking back into ourselves if we want to deliver ourselves. Let us know that it's not just an issue of the result. It's an issue of our future. It's the future that is being compromised.
Yes.
When these ones will come up at a time when we're expecting them to take their place in the economy, at a time when we're expecting to take their place in leadership, at a time when we're expecting them to take their place here and there, what is it that you're going to expect? These are the matters at stake. It's not just an issue of an indicator, JAMB scores. It's just an indicator of what has been compromised over time. And I think that the government, the society, every one of us must take a rethink. Because what is happening now is pointing at a problem that will be very, very overwhelming.
I agree. I love that word. Very, very in fact, it's actually overwhelming. Viewers, did you hear that? What is happening now is pointing at a problem that will actually be overwhelming in the future. Feel free to call in. Don't forget the number to call in is showing on your screen. And if you cannot call in, send in your message via any of our social media handles showing on your screen. We want to hear from you. Why do you think we had this massive failure in JAMB recently? Okay, so let me come to you, Mr. Uche. As a teacher, what was your first reaction when you saw these statistics from JAMB? I think I have it here, where they pointed at that 0.5% scored 300 and above. 4.2% scored 250 and above. 24% scored 200 and above, while 76% scored below 200. Now, this is from Premier Times. As a teacher, what came to your mind? Do you see this as we're gone educational-wise in this country?
Okay, when I saw the analysis at first, what came to my mind, I realized that this result is not just a representation of the student's ability, it's also a representation of our national ability.
Okay.
It means that the student that will be admitted into university, we're expecting them to be out of uni latest in the next 5 years. So it means the graduates we're going to have 5 years away from now, they are going to be people who are less creative, people who are less smarter than the ones we have now. So it means that our manpower in the future, there will going to be problem in our manpower. So when I saw it, I felt there's a problem. There's a problem, and the problem, it's not a problem we can start blaming the students. If you ask me the same question you asked them, who do I think should be blamed? Yeah, I would say the government and JAMB should be blamed. Why am I blaming JAMB? This is an unpopular opinion, but as a teacher, I have come to realize that learning resources are not readily available, and in some cases when they are available, they are not accessible. Do you know that you can't find JAMB past questions online for free? You can't.
For free?
You can't. You can't find JAMB questions online for free. Like the JAMB that was written last year, you can have access to it. The only way students get to access these questions are either through the normal JAMB pack we buy from stationery stores. Another problem that haven't been noticed again is there is no proper feedback. I remember I wrote JAMB last year. How many feedback did I get? Like, I feel after an exam, you should feed student back. You should feed the stakeholders back. You should feed the student. These are the areas you've done wrong. These are the areas of your strength. These are the areas that need improvement. You feed the society so that those that are going to write in future will know, okay, there is a problem here. Okay, I need to work harder here. And in addition to that, I also feel that the curriculum needs to be revisited. let me make a short comparison here. If you compare the Nigerian curriculum and the British curriculum, I, for example, teach in a British curriculum school. When you handle the British curriculum, when they give you a content, say in English, a topic now, they will tell you some topics in now, the subtopics in now that are easily misunderstood by the student, the misconceptions, and they will suggest to you as a teacher the way to approach this. They will even give you a link where you should visit and see ways that other teachers have been able to teach this these are easily misunderstood concepts so that you can be able to help your own children. We don't have that in Nigeria. We don't have that. I feel JAMB should look at their curriculum, provide information, what are the areas where the students are finding it difficult to tackle when it comes to question, and relate it to the general public, make it visible, and make learning resources accessible and available for all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Wow, he really spoke like a teacher. Well, viewers out there, did you hear that? Do you agree with him that we have sometimes we have the learning resources, but they are not available? Do you agree with the first guest on what he spoke about? Feel free to call. It want to hear from you. Well, let's talk to our guest online, the man with many caps. So I'm going to ask you first two questions. I'm going to ask first, who do you think we should blame for the massive failure in JAMB this year? And then I also want to ask, do you think students are being taught the right things by qualified teachers? I'm not saying by teachers, qualified teachers. These two questions quickly.
I will start with the last question.
Okay.
The answer to the last question is that it is yes and no. But I must say that we have lots of qualified teachers in Nigeria. But the challenge we have is that the problem is multifaceted.
Okay.
That's the reason. We have qualified teachers in Nigeria. At the same time, we also have some non-qualified teachers in Nigeria. Now, qualification is an issue of certification. We have also seen where the so-called qualified teachers, because when in Nigeria now, when they say a man is a qualified teacher, a woman is a qualified teacher, it means he's of Nigeria and has his practicing license. But that does not make you a very good teacher. We've also seen people who are not certified by the Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria because they've not written the exam, and they will be termed non-qualified. Now, at that point, you also find such non-qualified, in quotes, are doing excellently well. So the issue of whether the teachers are qualified or not qualified may not play the major reason why we have this situation. Now, to the issue why we have this failure, is multifaceted. Everyone has a challenge. I am not surprised. I am indeed not surprised because I've done a research. And what was this research? Let me give you an instance using the Unity School calendar as a model. It might not be the same for everybody, but I think this is the trend. It's not about the curriculum. We have a robust curriculum. Now, you take the children in the morning boarding house. They wake up by 4 a.m. They get to do their house chores till about 6 a.m., take their bath, and then by 6:30, they are ready for school. By 7, they are in the dining to have their breakfast. Then from dining, by 7:30, you are going straight for assembly. After assembly, you go straight to classroom. By 8:05, lectures have begun. Lectures will go till about 11. They go on break. By 11:30, they come back. Now, again, for the senior classes, which is the main focus, there are some Unity schools that have cockroach lesson. In other words, they will now go to class from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. cockroach in those basic subject area, maths, English, and the core of their various faculties. That if you are humanities, you are business and all that. They try to do these lectures to, coach these students so that they will become very sound. Now, take that scenario from that 6 a.m. to 7 o'clock dining, and 7:30 assembly, 8 o'clock lecture begins. 11 o'clock you have break, 11:30 you continue till 2:20. By 2:30 you are back to dining, and by 3 o'clock you are back for extra lesson. That extra lesson takes you to about 5 o'clock, and after 5 o'clock you have some of them who are so-called weak will now have to go for another extra lesson till about 6 or 7.
Wow.
My dear, make I ask Warri language. Now which time the pikin want take read?
His head go break, he go scatter. Even
So
as
we are blaming these children, whereas we have not looked at the policy makers. There was a girl. Why did I come into this analogy and conclusion? Is that I had a girl in those days that we were even closing by 150, and this analysis I've given to you was not there. What I've given to you is also operational in most of the private schools that run body system. The girl shouted, "My papa won't kill me. Lesson, lesson, lesson." Even at home, she had extra lessons that the father was also preparing for her. Now, by the time you are done with all this, the child is exhausted. At the end of the day, the child goes to bed. He cannot even read in the evening. He wakes up the next morning, and the routine continues till the end of term, second term, third term. We have to revisit our policies. We have to revisit our, would I say curriculum? Yes, maybe part of the curriculum, because we have overbloated the curriculum. Now, in my time, there was nothing like trade subjects. There was nothing like civic education. Civic education was more like government. So for a student to be well-grounded, you must go through civic education and trade at the end of the day. All these courses they do. What is the overall benefit to the learner? You see, Nigerians are good at carrying out a curriculum, place it there. It is just there on the records. How good is it implemented? No feedback. What is your feedback after many years? That girl that I told you about that was complaining, today she's a mother of 3, and I think either a chemical engineer or a petrochemical engineer, one of these engineering fields. I use my own children as analysis. Now I observe my children. When we are in the house, I'm a teacher, they stay with me, we go to the class. There are times I go to class, I am exhausted as a teacher. Not to talk about salary. Well, I'm not even looking at the salary issue now. As a teacher, you go for cockroach in the morning, you come back, you get dressed. Yes, I don't have maybe first period. There are teachers that have first period. And sometimes the timetable is so loaded that we now have to take from morning to closing certain days. Again, that's where we talk about the personnel. They are short-staffed in some schools, and so the workload is so much. Now, that is the school system. That's why I say the problem of this JAMB failure, I agree with my venerable that education is cumulative and there is a trend. And I sincerely agree with him when he made that statement. I had to jot it down. Now, you see, when you look at a situation, what do you think we need to do to avert this? The teachers, they have their blame. And where is the blame? The blame on the teachers is that some of them have refused to upgrade. I am where I am today because I spent my personal money to get to where I am. As I speak to you, I'm still paying debt of over 3 million that I borrowed from the bank just because I wanted to get my PhD, to learn, unlearn, and relearn. And today, I can tell you, by all confidence, I'm a better teacher. I'm certified with the Teacher Registration Council of Nigeria, and teaching other teachers, hence I'm called the teacher of teachers. I'm a researcher. Having a doctoral degree in human physiology, like I told somebody, is doctor of philosophy. Having philosophized both in education and in the basic medicals. I've come to realize that the stress we are pulling into these children is so enormous. Do you know, if you carry out a research on the activities of these children now, over time, it is going to affect their reproductive system, because stress and the reproductive axis, the hypopituitary reproductive axis, do not align. Stress is at variance with that particular axis in the terms of physiology. Now, coming down to the aspect where I have to blame government, I wouldn't blame government because we all are part of government. Rather, I will blame governance. There's difference between government and governance. We all make up the government, but governance is the art of governing. Now, when you are governing, you are in position. Do we have the right persons put in the offices? There are times you appoint directors, you appoint assistant directors, deputy directors, who are not what they are honors to man certain offices. And when they take policy decisions, it affects. The other time, there was no midterm break. That affected the psychic, and this is the end result. No midterm break for these children to have a break, to have a rethink, to have a breath of fresh air from the academic stress. Oh. Now, talk about the parents. The parents also have their share. Now, the issue of the parents boils down to the policy of government, where our take-home pay cannot take us home. So parents are always hustling from morning till night. There was a time I met some students who were still in school when the school was over. I took them. A girl among them I took home. There was nobody at home. Till today, after 5 years, the parents did not need me to call and say, thank you for bringing my daughter home. That's how this girl could be molested by somebody who is not having conscience of bringing up a child. So when you look at the way parents handle the children, we go out, we source for money, look for money to pay the school fees, no time for the children, no care, no parental love, and then you talk about the students on their own part, social media. Social media has done much harm than good to us. And so you look at it from that perspective. Most of the time, I complain, I shout at these children. Go to any place, any function in school, wherever. Even a 2-year-old child, once the mother drops her phone, you can imagine a 2-year-old unlocking the phone of the mother. How did the child know the PIN? It tells you that children born in this generation are born digitally. We have digital children. I observed that my children were not following up. And so I had to go into what I call digital teaching. And that's why I won the Digital Teacher of the Year in 2020. Wow. I tell you, if I am in Abuja for any workshop, for any training, once it is my lesson period, even now that I'm on air, once it is my lesson period, I will take a break and I will hook up on online and lecture my children. Okay. Now I observe something. These children are in the digital era. So for you to grab their attention, you must be digitally inclined. That's why my children can never fail. The children I taught in my subject, I can make bold of my subject. Now, again, failure is as a result of the fact that the budgetary provision for education is very poor. The remuneration for teachers, nothing to write home about. Recently, in the Ministry of Education for last year, promotion was not, the space for promotion was not given. And now, let me digress a little to tell you some of this reason. You are talking about elongation of teachers. The elongation of teachers are 5 years. Now, the question I ask, how does elongation come to affect promotability of the teachers in that aspect? They will tell me there are no classrooms, there are no offices. And I made a suggestion to them. What we should do is this. You have lots of teachers in that unity schools, in that Federal Ministry of Education that have got PhDs, that have got a master's degree. Why not liaise with the federal institutions? If it is the issue of vacancies, create a loop for them where they can transfer their services to the universities, to the colleges of education. I give you an instance. If we have, let's say 34 universities, federal universities, we're talking of only federal universities, not even polytechnics. And all of them, they take about 5. You know what that is going to take. and then you have the College of Education, the polytechnics. Once this set of persons leave, you are talking of creating vacancies. This vacancy can be created, and then the teachers will be motivated when they are paid. Now they are not paid. You said you are giving them elongation, and you are stagnating them again, that it is the elongation you gave to them. That's why they are not being promoted. Then what is the essence of elongation? Another thing I heard about the elongation, which is not right and good, is that once you clock 60, you no longer go for promotion. Then why the elongation? If you clock 60 and you're not going for promotion, was that how it was done for the university workers? Was that how it was done for the judiciary workers? Was that how it was done for other workers? That is not good. These are the multifaceted problems that is bedeviling the educational system. We're not talking about the downtrodden, the budgetary provision that is not there. The worker salary, no motivation. I am where I am today because I decided to motivate myself. Okay. Now, parents they are there. The students too, they are there. And they're talking about governance. The students are not motivated to go into studying. Why? Because they tell you school na scam. Why would they not say school na scam? I gave a lecture where I asked, the lecture title was School na scam, question mark. School na scam, question mark. By the time I was done with the lectures, it was a standing ovation. Why? I was able to make them realize that that slogan, school na scam, is nothing but the perspective of our students viewing the nation. In those days, when you see someone from the university, a teacher, a miss, they are highly revered. Like my highly revered venerable said, the integrity and personality of teachers were abused and bastardized, and it has affected the system. Now tell me, give me a country that does not care for its teachers, and I will tell you a country that can never progress. Show me a country that remunerates the teachers more than every other sector of the economy, and I will tell you a country that is bound to progress. So when you look at it, the policies put in place, the issue of geopolitical zone, federal character and all that, fine, they are good, but they should be based on merit. Okay. Until Nigerians come to tell themselves the truth, putting the right squares, the right pegs at the right holes, we cannot make progress. As long as the educational system, the Federal Minister of Education, the State Minister of Education is relegated to the background, we will not make progress in this country. Okay. Now, funny enough, the statistics they are saying that 76%, assuming that 76% was on 200 and above, I would say that it is a better skewed diagram when you talk about statistics, because you are not expected to have all of them, passing. But then, looking at that 200 and below, that is a worry. Why is it not a worry? Because the standard has been lowered, and cutoff mark is 150. Why will I stress myself when with 150 I can get admission? Whereas some who have 300 and something may not be able to get admission for one reason or the other. The other day, the Honorable Minister was talking about increasing the years to 18 years of age. Fine, as it were. But honestly, for Nigeria, it is a no-no. Because even the age of 16, the world has gone so nuclear that children that are extraordinarily intelligent and graduate at secondary school at the age of 14, they are into Guinness Book of Records. And we are looking at people who are going to get their PhD even at the age of 15 and 16. So we shouldn't be thinking at the analog era. The problem of education in Nigeria is that we have analog personalities ruling the digital world. The digital children we are here now, it is easier to teach them when you follow the digital means of educating them and going through that means.
I will have to
it will shock people to know that those who have scored 200 and below, put them in the university. You will be surprised what you have. Because even those that scored 314, how am I sure they use their brain? Then the question of credibility, integrity, and personality comes to bear. I know you are trying to stop me. If you give me the time, I can talk from now to tomorrow morning. I will still be on this topic.
It is very obvious, and you are actually, from when you opened your mouth, you've been dishing it out hot back to back. You've been hitting the right punch. You've been making so much sense. Thank you. That in fact you answered actually every question I had prepared for you, or you already answered them. But then let me come. You made a very valid point where you said education, school na scam. Now, I would want you to react to that, as well as the video we watched during the break of the school students that were being, interviewed. One of them made mention of the fact that some of these people that failed the JAMB had no computer knowledge. In their own school, that is Anglican Girls Grammar School, AGGS, she said they have they have a computer application that is being put in place, to teach them and prepare them ahead of JAM. Maybe that's why they've been scoring very high points. Anglican schools are doing very well. Now, the big question is, how many government schools have computer science labs? Functional computer science lab. How many of them can actually boast of saying, if we have 150 students who are writing JAMB today, we are sure they are computer literate? Could that be a reason for this massive failure? Then the second, which was the first question I asked, I want you to react to this issue of school na scam. You scored 150 and the person gains admission easily into the university, whereas somebody that scored 300 and above, keeps finding it difficult. What exactly is the problem?
Thank you so much. It's wonderful, excellent. I want to tell you that, number one, the issue of integrity. How many people are going for integrity these days? Everybody wants to make it up, wants it to seem as if, dress it up, so that at least it can conform, it will be acceptable, it will be approved. Where is our integrity? If you look at what we are talking about now, the issue of education, that's the reason why I tell you that the government has a pivotal role, a major role to play. Look at other spheres. I give you an example of Singapore. They get to a particular stage in the educational system where they skim the milk. They know those ones that are high flyers. They take them to a particular place and they begin to train them properly. And they set them up as leaders, as persons, that will come back to teach and whatever. In our educational system, you see very well that it is those people that don't have a job that look for how to teach. Those people that don't have a job. And also look at the society. Education is a scam. People say it here and there. Why are they saying it? Because of what is that yardstick that the society recognizes to be the substance, the value now? Money, not character. So it doesn't matter how you get it. Even the person that is telling you that you should follow, the right procedure. Did he follow the right procedure to get to where he's going to?
Big question.
So the issue we are talking about is that we are telling people to do what we are not doing. And the people know our antecedents. They know our lives. So it is very difficult. Teaching is not necessarily what you say from your mouth. Even your life and your character, your history, your antecedents will come to play. So let us not be deceiving ourselves. Let's not be deceiving ourselves. In Singapore, I know of, I visited that place. I was taken there for an educational visit. We got down to that place. The government emphasizes, give birthday cards to teachers on their birthday.
Wow.
Teachers are paid well. At the end of every week, the latest, methods in teaching are being brought to the teachers through the internet or whatever. They come together, not department by department, unit by unit, to study and to understand. How will they not be ahead of us? If you look at our system, when we were operating the 6334 system, we had so many things we imported that we wanted to use in implementing the 6334 system. As at the time that 6334 system was changed to the 934 system, there were still some of these baggages that were not opened. But we will come up and tell the people we are doing it. Don't you see the way it is being done? And when the people, they are coming in for examination or for come and do evaluation, we make it up. We make it seem as if it's okay. So they go back and give us a certificate that everything is right. Meanwhile, everything is not right. So if the government wants to play a role, let them come down and play a role. We have to start it from somewhere. If you look at our civilization today, it was because of the fact that we had the right ethics and we had the right norms that govern our society at that time. You see, when the industry mechanization came up, labor was being reduced. The issue of labor laws came up. That no, even in mechanization, labor should have a law. There should be something that should give a human face to mechanization. You see, there are certain things that gave the human being his own identity. That gave us some self-esteem. that made us understand that there are certain things that are not befitting of a human person.
True.
Are they still there? Those ethics, are
Not
they
at
still
all.
operational? No, those norms, are they still standards in our time? So let us not begin to deceive ourselves. If we want the right thing to be done, let us go for the right thing. Let's go from the government, from politics to economy to teaching, everywhere. Let everybody be properly oriented. Or else, the future, we abuse our memory.
That's deep. That's deep. Did you get that? Where are our communications people? Are they sure? Why did you get that? The future will abuse our memory. That needs to be put on our quotes sign. But now I just want to ask. He made mention. Our guest online made mention about the boarding system. Right, waking up 4:30 and all that. All the whole circle thing. And it struck me, you are the principal of a boarding school. Is that how you operate? If that is not how you operate, how do you operate that your students do well so that other people watching can emulate? And if that is how you operate, how do you manage students studying and having time for other extracurricular activities? Because it's not just like a book and then they're out of school.
I'll give you a very short example.
Okay.
When we are doing games, you are permitted to score. You are permitted to play over the bar. You are permitted to do a corner kick. Everybody should play.
Okay.
Everybody should be involved. Because the essence of games is for you to be able to exercise yourself so that you can be mentally alert subsequently. Yes, adjust your being. Every faculty in you is needed for you to be able to study. Now, when we talk about this issue of cramping everything together, see, where there are compromises, people look for ways of trying to ensure they straighten out matters. If a student, a child can be sent home and there's somebody at home for the child to meet, to be able to continue the educational system, it will be wonderful. When you send a child home and there's nobody for the child to meet at home, what do? You organize extra lessons. Or maybe
but
a time
don't
for
you
them
think
to
these
stay in the
extra
school.
lessons are too much?
Yes. The extra lessons might be for them to do their prep inside the school, because there's nobody at home for them to go and meet.
Okay.
Their parents are trying to struggle to make more school fees. Everything is very expensive. Look at even the advanced nations. You will see that some parts, of our educational system are free because they understand what is at stake for the future. They are free. But in Nigeria, you are supposed to pay for everything. Pay for everything. Even when they tell you that this one is free, they have a way of going around it to go and pick the money from the parents. I am a pastor. I have a conviction. There are sometimes you weep over our nation. You just look at it, you are just tired. People just come and tell lies and make it all bare, and at the end of it all, they are believed. We are in a nation where substance.
I have to put you on hold. I've just been told we have a caller.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for calling. Please go ahead and make your contribution.
Hello, good morning.
Go ahead, we can hear you.
Good morning. My name is Sister Hajara from Kugwa.
Okay.
I really want to appreciate you guys for this wonderful topic. It's unfortunate that every aspect of the topic is okay, but I want to ask that the government has really failed in the aspect of the massive failure. They have really contributed to the massive failure of students, because the recent syllabus they are using now, it's so difficult. And
Oh, we just lost the call. We got what she wanted to say. The syllabus they are using right now is so difficult. So I'll allow you finish what you're saying.
Now, you see, we celebrate noise. We don't celebrate substance. Noise. People make noise. We have done this, we have done that. If you have done it, let us see it in the life of the children. Whatever you have done, let us see it. By now, our nation should be moving forward. We are not going where we are supposed to be. So you see, there's a lot of makeups here and there. Some of these things should be relaxed for parents. Some of these things should be relaxed for the schools so that the schools will be able to manage what they are supposed to do. The parents are able to manage what they are supposed to do. The government also will be able to take on what they are supposed to take on.
Okay, but then it's just like what our caller said. I'm going to come to you, Mr. Uche, now. It's just like what our caller said. The syllables are difficult.
Yes.
That is one. Now, secondly, I want to ask: is it by so much reading, so much studying that these students, bring out the best in them? Because we've seen people who are very good in music. We've seen people who are good in playing football. We've seen people who have other skills. What time do they have to harness these skills? If from morning till night they are reading. Oh, I've just been told we have another caller. Good morning and thank you for calling.
Hello, good morning, people in the studio.
Good morning. Go ahead and make your contribution.
My contribution, I was in a tricycle this morning coming to work, and this is a concern for me. I was in a tricycle with two students going to school. They were talking to themselves, and one of the students said they had to pay 3,000 naira because they had to start their work examination. Have you paid your 3,000 naira? I was shocked. For what? If you don't pay your 3,000 naira, you won't be given the answer. This is WAEC. So how do you expect to the reduction in failure of JAM? Because after now, the WAEC, the next step will be to write their JAM. You don't give what you don't have. If they are being given answers to write their exams in JAM, I'm not sure such things happen. So you expect mass failure. So on this part, who are to be blamed? Is it their parents? I'm not sure if they tell their parents to give them money, the teachers demand money so that they will pass their exam. Is it the teachers? Is it the parents? Is it the government? So this has given us a lot of concern, and something needs to be done, and real fast, because what are we breeding into the society? That is my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, that wonderful caller. This is a personal experience. She was in a tricycle with two students, and she overheard them having a discussion. Have you paid your 3,000? If you don't pay, you will not be given answers. They're about writing WAEC. Now, these are students. First, who brought about that paying 3,000 naira bill? Who is giving them the 3,000 naira to pay? And why should they pay to be given answers? Now, I'm going to ask you that question, but he was talking before the caller came, so let me allow you to round off.
You see, you need the body to be educated, physical exercise. The human body is a composite. You have the body, the soul, and the spirit. You need the body to be exercised. You need the mind or the heart also to be properly exercised, properly activated, transformed. And you also need the spiritual makeup also of the human being. All these ones go together. So when you take the child to the games area, the football, the whatever physical education, you are training the body.
But that's not enough. See, studying all through,
yes,
that's not enough.
The issue of studying all through, no curriculum is being designed in such a way that it will be study. No. There are some times in which you go for games. There are some times in which you go even for you to meet the counselor, the counselor to answer some of your questions. There are some times we go to chapel.
So what time do these kids have to, I'm not saying they should watch TVs or whatever, what time do they have to get themselves abreast with what's happening in the society? What time do they have to hone on their, God-given talents? What time do they have for that?
They have a lot of time. You see, the point I'm trying to raise is that there are periods, timings for all these things to be attended to. Yes, for all this part of the human body to be activated.
You know why I pointed that out? Because I know of a grade 2 student who offers 13 subjects. For a grade 2, I think that's too much.
Our colleague from the internet, the colleague from the Warri has already mentioned it. Yes. You see, the question there is, you have broken government into civic education, into security and everything. Many subjects to be attended to.
And you expect these kids to understand it. Yes, 6-year-olds.
Yes. The question there is this, that we should be able to sit and consider these matters very well. It is not the armchair policy makers who are not involving the people that are on the field. the people on the field also need to be brought in when you are formulating these policies.
Agreed.
So that these policies that you are formulating will not just be at the theoretical level, it will also be practically, feasible, such that our common goal to the economy, providing manpower, providing leadership, providing all that will be necessary for our future, will be achieved. But when you formulate some of these things and then you put it up there and you say, okay, go and implement, the students are too much engaged. But the schools that are worth their honors, are able to arrange it such a way that the children have enough time to be able to attend to themselves. Yes, you can see what you had from AGGS, the Anglican Girls Grammar School. The students are able to tell you from this is what we do, and from their contribution you see how articulate they are about other spheres of life. They know what's happening in the society, and they are telling you not just only what they have been taught in the school, what they have heard from society, you understand, even issues about parenting and everything. You see it coming out in their contributions. So if you look at what are we saying that we should do, that is the bottom line. What should we do? If you take the teacher, for example, the teachers need, periodic workshops, periodic upgrading. You understand? The formulation of the activities for the day should take some of these gaps into consideration. The formulation of the subjects to be taught should be properly directed, not just formulated there, then at the practical level, it is difficult to implement. Everybody should be involved in such a way that we will be able to move forward. But you see that we have a society now that is not talking about integrity. All we are talking about is how many A's. That is what is bringing in those 2,000 naira payments. Yes, how many A's? I just want my child to be there. Pay the 2,000 naira so that at least my child will pass. But we have forgotten the fact that when the child passes all those exams, he is going to do it in the field alone. When the employment comes, then the nation will suffer for it.
No wonder we have a lot of half-baked graduates. So I come to you, Mr. Uche. You've been nodding. You quite agree with what they've been saying. Now, I want you to react to briefly to the two callers we had. One said she felt the syllabus they are using right now is too difficult for the students. That contributed to the massive failure in JAMB. While the other caller also talked about the experience she had with two students who were asking, have you paid your 3,000? If you don't pay, you will not be given answers in the WAEC hall.
Okay, thank you very much. The first one, the caller that said the syllabus is too difficult, I disagree. The syllabus is not difficult. It's not too difficult for their age, because when policymakers are formulating syllabus, they put into consideration the age of the learners that we go through that curriculum, and they put that into consideration. Now, but what is the problem with the syllabus is inadequate information. There are informations that should be in the syllabus that are not there. Like I mentioned earlier, information about, let me take chemistry. What are the topics that WAEC or JAMB have seen that over the years students are always failing these topics? Those topics should be mentioned to teachers. That's number one. Another factor is communication. There is no proper communication between the policymakers and the teachers who are at the field to execute the teaching and learning process. Now, in the British curriculum, I don't teach the Nigerian curriculum. I teach the British curriculum. In the British curriculum, after 5 years, the teachers will get invited anywhere you are in the world. Come and attend a conference. Come talk to us. You have been teaching chemistry, Mr. Chifumnaya, for 5 years now. Tell me, what have you seen in the class? What are the things that your students are finding it difficult to comprehend? How do you approach this difficult aspect of the curriculum? Other teachers worldwide will share their opinion. When they share their opinion, the British Council will gather all this information and use it to formulate things that will make the teaching of those aspects easier. Okay, for the second question you asked about the girl that was complaining, the lady that was complaining about two people in
the 3,000 naira thing.
3,000 naira thing. Good. What is the problem? Who should be blamed?
Yes.
Okay, first, the teacher should be blamed, because I feel as a professional teacher, you should have integrity. Integrity is very, very key. in the teaching profession. Another thing is the welfare. The teachers are not well taken care of, and we see that it's difficult living in Nigeria. So I have families to take care of, and I have children who are willing to offer me this penny to help me to buy bread. You will agree, right? So integrity one, and the welfare. Another factor that is into play that we can look at here is the pressure. The pressure coming from school owners, that's in private school now, pressure coming from even the government. Okay, you provide teachers with limited resources, and you want them to make out the best of result out of these children. So they will have to go out of their way to do what is not even right to see that they get all these results. So three things: number one, integrity on the part of of the teachers. Another thing is the welfare. I feel the teachers should be well taken care of. They should be well taken care of. What they pay the teachers in Nigeria is way poor. I heard from a friend of mine that's in Delta State, secondary school teacher. He earns 65,000 naira. I mean, that's nothing in this
That's
current
like
economy.
$50.
That's nothing in this economy.
65,000 naira.
Okay, so a teacher of that caliber, if he had like 50 students in his class and all of them are willing to pay 3,000 naira, I mean, he will see it as a golden opportunity to grab. So
it's really unfortunate.
It is.
It's really unfortunate. Well, we have a comment from one of the viewers. He said, when you go to look for job opportunities, you see the grades there. It's a first class. They need first class and all that. So people strive hard. Maybe that's why we're having miracle centers, special centers. Like you pointed out, Venerable, everybody wants to have the A's. But then when we get to the field, that's where the problem starts. So, okay, I want to ask. You people said education is not a scam. Right now, I'm talking to three of you because our time is fast spent. Before I'll take that as your final words. Now, you said education is not a scam. How comes someone who saw this, burns the midnight candle, graduates, first class, ends up working for someone who went to school, cheated his or her way out, and is at the helm of affairs, making decisions? In all honesty, we know a lot of our politicians are not qualified to occupy the positions they occupy. In all honesty, we know a lot of directors are not qualified to occupy the positions they occupy presently. Yet, someone who is fully qualified ends up, taking orders, doing the wrong thing because he's answerable to someone who gives him the order to do the wrong thing. So I want to ask, please, if education is not a scam, why do we have all of this happening in the country? Why? Because if I study and I know that at the end of the day I won't get a job, at the end of the day I will be the PA to one politician and I'll be earning 500,000 naira every month. Why should I burn the midnight candle? I just need to have the quali, we call it quali, the paper that I went to school. Oh, did she graduate? Yes, she graduated. So please, why do we have such? I want that. Let me start with you, Mr. Uche.
Okay, when Reverend and our virtual partner was talking online, I didn't really contribute to that question if education is a scam or not. Is education a scam? I would say no, education is not a scam. Education is not a scam. What is education, first of all? Education is a tool that a nation uses to transform itself from where it is to where it hopes to become in future. Look at the problem we have in Nigeria. We have problem of corruption. What tool can we use to stop this? Education. Will it be functional? Yes, it will be functional. So education is not a scam. To your question, how have I been able to convince you that education is not a scam?
Of course I know education is not a scam, because good. Of course I'm giving my children the best of education.
From the question you asked, why is it that people graduate with good grades and they end up getting low paying jobs? Why people who didn't even struggle at school, who didn't work hard at school, are earning 500,000?
They are at the helms of affairs, making decisions.
Okay, she said something. He said the problem we have in Nigeria is a cumulative problem. It's a cumulative problem. Look at what we promote. I feel education is not a scam, but we are not giving it the right promotion. Okay, few months from now, I don't know, BBN will be up, Big Brother Nigeria, and you will see it trending all over the internet. We promote the wrong things. How
Okay.
many promotion do we give to education? Jam, they just concluded Jam. I'm sure someone will emerge as the top scorer in this year's Jam. Let's watch and see what will be given to that person. Let me quickly share a short story. In school, when I was in school, we had one of these mega banks came to our campus, and they were trying to promote their business. And they did beauty pageant for the female students, and someone won a car. And you came to a school community. I feel if you want to promote education in this country, it should be a collective effort. What happens to the person? Why didn't you give something that can challenge the intellect and make it look like you're promoting education?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, briefly, sir, I think in 60 seconds, our time is fast spent.
Okay, you will see from history, even from, those times when Christianity ruled the world. You go to the US, you will see the value system, and you see the type of life that was lived. Now that people are compromising it, people are looking at the issue that is not important, you see what it is here, what it is now. And you dare not talk because another nation will sanction you and say, why are you not promoting a man to marry a dog? See, there are so many things that we must come to terms with. The issue of what are the ruling values? What is the standard? What is the substance that we are going for in our world of today? We worship people that have money. Let us be able to know it. A pastor should be concerned not about money. Money is important, but the primary thing in a church, how many persons are going to heaven? A university professor should be concerned about the quality of the persons he's producing to go and work in the society. The doctor should be concerned about how much of the health of the people and their well-being they are doing in society. Why the government should be concerned about the common good of everybody. Okay. If every one of us were having our common objective and we are pursuing it, we will not have it. And the bottom line of all this is that we should be able to be comfortable with it. You see, everybody now is now flaunting himself on the basis of how much money you have. That's not the issue.
Okay, thank you very much. To the man with many feathers, so many caps on him. Let me hear your last word briefly in 60 seconds.
If you say education is a scam, then go and check Professor Mrs. Oti that stood her grounds because she's well educated and stood by the integrity in education, and Abians are enjoying what it takes to be an educated elite.
True.
Education is a tool, I agree with Abia, a tool for transformation. In my 4 years of facilitating online lectures and capacity building, I've used it as a tool of transformation. We must put our hands together, we must put our house together to see that we, in our own corner, do the best we can in the transformation of the educational system. While we complain about those in governance who are not doing the right thing, when you find yourself in position, what do you do? Now, the media is not out of it. The media has not helped matters. The media gives more attention to entertainment industry more than the education industry. And that's because the entertainment industry brings more instant money than the education industry. And so, whether you like it or not, nobody came to this world to count the number of persons or the number of people. Everybody came to make money. You see, the Bible says that above, I wish above all things that thou may prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospereth. Money is a defense. God created money, but we should not worship money. We should make sure we have it and use it as a defense for the work of God. And besides, have integrity. I rejected, when I went for supervision, NECO, and that was the last supervision I ever went, because I told myself I won't put my life in a risk. When the people that were supposed to supervise me to make sure that I was not a corrupt officer were the ones that were begging me to collect money for students, I told them to get away because I have integrity to maintain.
Okay.
That was many years ago. And so, as a teacher, as an individual, have integrity because integrity pays on the long run. Education is absolutely not a scam. Let Nigerians catch that vision.
all of us in Nigeria, if we want to make our education to be a success, let's catch that vision with a passion.
Thank you.
Because I believe we are on a mission to rescue this generation. Let's not allow distraction to be our conclusion. Because I'm looking forward to giving quality instruction in every educational institution I find myself, because my generation, which is this younger generation to build, are waiting for them to tell them congratulations. And I believe at the end of the day, the nation will be smiling.
Amen.
If education is giving the best, the best policies to guide and make education worthwhile.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I really had a wonderful time, and for the very first time, we're extending now streaming by a huge amount of minutes. So thank you very much to our guests. You really made this happen. Thank you, Venerable. Thank you, Mr. Uchendu. Thank you to the man with many caps, so many colors. We truly appreciate your contributions to today's topic, and to our callers and our viewers. Thank you for making this program a success. We're just here because of you. Thank you so much. To those behind the scene, Mr. Godsend, Ms. Rachel, Mr. Deshawa, Mr. Chigozi, and every other person, thank you so much for making this a huge success. So I'm going to leave you with this, that the decay of the Nigerian education system is evident in the dilapidated infrastructure, lack of qualified teachers, lack of payment of salaries, the dwindling standards of learning, and a whole lot more that has been outlined so far. It is so clear, extremely clear, that corruption has indeed seeped into every aspect of Nigeria's education, from the admission processes to examination malpractice, eroding the integrity of the system completely. But like every one of us have said, we can be different. We can start the chain of a positive change in our education system. Remember, half-baked is as good as nothing. Is as good as nothing. So until we come your way again tomorrow with another very interesting episode, do stay safe and remember to subscribe to all our platforms for amazing and exciting programs. Bye-bye for now.